My farm, TL Fruits and Vegetables, was started in 2011. It's a woman-owned, woman-run farm. The reason we started the farm is we're vegetarians and vegans. We love fresh produce. We want produce that is clean and fresh and healthy. And we ended up growing more than we could actually eat. We started growing produce in 2011 and found that if we had bumper crops, we had to unload it or sell it. We could only can and eat so much. So we went to farmers markets. They have them in various locations in our community. And then from there, we had customers saying, can you deliver to my workplace or to my home? So we started a CSA, so we expanded in doing CSA deliveries. We have restaurants and schools and little markets that sell at their storefront some of our produce, and it's just expanded. I think the demand for fresh produce is really high in this location. We're very concerned about the environment. Sustainability is the backbone of everything that we do. I would say it begins with our solar panels. So we're a solar energy farm. We also have a wind turbine to create energy on the windy days. We're on top of a hillside, so on winter months it's very windy. Sometimes in the summer the wind picks up. We also have a worm farm, and that helps decompose some of our waste products. We recycle the water that falls from the sky. So we have French drains on our house, on our high tunnels, and all of that goes down into watering tanks that we use solar energy to pump up and use for our irrigation. The ducks and our geese lay eggs, and then we collect those eggs and then we sell those eggs. To feed our ducks and our geese, we take that 3 or 4% of unsellable produce and feed it to the ducks and the geese. We're trying. So there's lots of problems that need to be solved in West Virginia and in agriculture. One of the problems that I saw was that I was growing year-round in the winter and other growers were not. When I talked to Dr. Louis Jett at WVU, he mentioned that we had over 600 high tunnels in the state of West Virginia, and yet few would grow during the winter months. And I thought, well, that's a SARE grant. That would be a great opportunity. If I can prove or show or test that growing in the winter months is doable, that maybe we could encourage other growers to do the same. Growing during the winter is a totally different dance. It's a totally different method than during the summer months. You have temperature, obviously. It gets really cold, so you're limited on what produce you can grow. Another problem that you have is humidity. If the sun comes up, the temperature rises in the high tunnel, so now you have a cool season crop that needs cool temperature, and yet the sun is up and you're in a controlled environment like a high tunnel. It can get up to 80, 90, 100 degrees. I lost crops for not opening the high tunnel and ventilating. Humidity creates all kinds of disease. So I knew there was a problem that needed to be solved. The SARE grant gave me that opportunity. I was able to test ventilation as well as temperature changes. And overall, I would say the automation worked great. In fact, it worked so well that we took our control high tunnel and turned it into an automated high tunnel. That was the conclusion. So the second SARE grant that we wrote was on geothermal. And if you've ever been to a cave and gone spelunking, you know that it's nice and cool under the ground when it's really hot up on the surface. And likewise, if it's really freezing and cold on the surface, you can again go spelunking and down in that cave, and it's a nice temperate temperature. Well, we thought, can we incorporate that into a high tunnel? A couple of years ago, Dr. Louis Jett was doing a farm tour, and our farm was on the tour. And so we asked, what do you think about geothermal? He says, great idea. He said, in fact, I've never seen a high tunnel in West Virginia that used geothermal. So then we thought, well, how deep do we need to go? If this high tunnel is in a remote location and I can't use on-the-grid electricity, how else can I gather that energy to run those fans? Those fans take the air from under the ground and blow it back into the high tunnel, and it's a cycle, it's a rotation of the air. And so we found that using solar energy would work, but we had to add a few more solar panels when it was a cloudy day. And then we decided it was really windy during the winter months. Let's try a wind turbine. So we're still in that process of testing how much energy does it take What size of battery do we need to collect that energy on those high energy days so that we can run 24 hours a day and keep that air circulating. We're in the middle of that grant, so we're still collecting data. I moved to West Virginia in 2010, and my first email and my first phone call was to the horticulturalists at WVU and then to the Extension office. And I let them know who I was, that I was here, and I wanted to be a farmer. I wanted to grow produce, and can you help me? My county has a wonderful extension agent that is always available. If I call or send an email, I generally hear back the day of. I'm able to ask for advice on soil sampling, what are the recommendations. I'm given advice on a pest. I've taken leaves in, I've taken bugs in, I've gotten advice on disease issues. The WVU University professors have offered me advice on grant applications, so they're wonderful. The number one advice that I would give a beginning farmer is before you plant a seed, before you plant a plant, do you have a market for it? Do you have a purpose for this crop? Do you have someone who's going to buy this? Have realistic expectations. For example, a blueberry plant, I know that a blueberry plant will be productive for 30 to 35 years. I know that this variety of blueberry that I'm growing will produce anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds of berries per year. I do the math and I think I can sell those berries at this price, so I should make this amount of money. So I've already spent my money before I've even picked a blueberry. But realistically, there are pests, there are diseases, there are too much rain, not enough rain, you have critter damage. There's so many things that can go wrong with a crop. So realistically, I now say 50% of what I expect should be what I'll be producing. I highly recommend using the resources that are available in your location. I've talked to farmers that live right down the road. They've given me wealth of information. Get help, ask.